Keeps you locked in, no matter where you are. Non-stop vibes, non-stop hits. This is Flow FM 92.7.
Good morning, Ilori. You know what time it is. Wake up with us and get your day started right.
We've got the hottest headlines, trending topics, and the music you love back to back.
You already know we keep it fun, fresh, and real. Mid-mornings with us, you won't want to miss it.
We bring the energy, the laughs, and of course the tunes that gets you through the day.
Afternoon on Flow FM is where the culture lives. Music, entertainment, and all the gist that you need.
And if it's trending, you already know we're talking about it.
Stay locked in, Lauren. It's Flow FM, baby.
The night's young, the vibes are right, and we are flowing past midnight. You ready to chill? Let's go.
Listen anytime, anywhere. Stream us live, call us, send us a WhatsApp message. We're just a tap away. Flow FM 92.7, your go with the flow radio station.
Flow FM 92.7, your go with the flow radio station. It is now time for us to analyze some of the trending national stories that were brought to you at 7 o'clock. So if you listened, or you tuned in at 7 for the headline news, and then you come across a story that is what's reacting to, here is your chance to discuss, debate, and talk about such stories this morning. Welcome to the headline news analysis. I am Adedayo, Adeyemi.
And I'm Danielle. Shitta-Bey. Good morning.
We're joined live by Nicholas Nwarunoye, who will be here to analyze some of the stories this morning. You can also join the conversation by calling the number 0807 9927, 0807 777 9927, and you can message us via WhatsApp as well, so you can leave your contributions via WhatsApp 0807 777 9927. Let's state that we will not give room for logical fallacies. Fake news will not be entertained. As any story brought in here must be from credible sources, and it must be verifiable as well too. You're absolutely free to criticize, but we'll appreciate it if there's some criticism are constructive, and at least it gives us a better understanding of the situation of things in the country. The views to be expressed is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7, but solely as expressed by the analyst this morning. Let's welcome Nicholas. Good morning to you, Nicholas.
Good morning.
It's good to see you. How was the weekend for you?
You already know we keep it fun, fresh, and real. Mid-mornings with us.
Do civil servants who go on retirement, how do they survive? Weekends when you don't have to do anything other than read, perhaps do some exercise and things like that. So it's boring without work,
Spend quality time with family.
Of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even then, within the week, I spend quality time with them when they come back from school. Well, it's kind of something I reflected on, really.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Before we get into the stories, this is to remind you that we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube at Flow FM 97. All you have to do is get on any of these apps and get in on the live action happening in the studio right now. So into the stories, we have a couple of presidential statements. And then we'll pick up on different one of them, okay? This one has President Tinubu set to meet Gencos over the 4 trillion naira power sector debt. I think we talked about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the 4 trillion naira debt is threatening the country's electricity supply chain. And this one is following a move with the recent meeting between the Minister of Power, Adedayo, and the Gencos chairman in Abuja, amid growing fears of national grid collapse. Remember that last year we had a couple of national grid collapse. This year, not as much yet,
I think that is more about the money that was owed them, 4 trillion or something.
Yeah, 4 trillion.
And I if I recall clearly, there was that, we did say, we spoke about it the following, I think we spoke about it twice, when they said they are going to down tools, they are going to stop production. And of course, federal government responding through the ministry that the money will be cleared.
Yeah, a substantial amount of it.
Will be cleared. So this other meeting is what I don't understand. Because there is a need for clarity so that we have a clear understanding of what is happening. If you have undertaken to clear some of it, you understand, and having to meet them again over that same amount of money, I don't know what will be discussed. But I think. By and large, I think it's a positive development. At least, the president having to meet them one-on-one and having to, feel them out and see if there is a way they can go around the problem, to solve it, because we all know how critical power generation is to the economy and every part of national well-being. So let's sincerely hope that the president has a fantastic package for them. When they meet.
All right, then. Well, let's leave that conversation and on to another one real quick. We have this one where the presidential aide, Bayo Onanuga, refuted claims that Nigerians are worse off today than in 1960. It was arguing that the country's economic growth over the decades has significantly outpaced its early post-independence figures. This was also responding to a statement attributed to the African Development Bank President Akinwumi Adesina, where he was emphasizing that Nigeria's GDP and economic structure have evolved substantially, especially with the expansion of crude oil revenues and the growth of both formal and informal sectors, making comparisons with the 1960 data and saying it's misleading.
Wow. Yes, I understand that Mr. Bayo Onanuga has to at least protect the presidency where he works, defend his principle. But I think he misunderstands. I think the president misunderstands what Akinwumi said. The misunderstanding is that he's not putting the blame squarely on Tinubu. He's saying that since the 1960s, things are so. Tinubu wasn't the president in the 1960s, 70s, 80s. No, he wasn't. You understand? And again, you see, when you fail to understand the context of a comment being made, you tend to, how do I put it, offer an explanation that falls flat in the face of logic. Let me say this, even, a secondary school student, an averagely good secondary school student understands what you mean by arithmetic and geometric progression. You understand? And of course, you know what that means. And of course, if you've done a little bit of economics in the secondary school, you know the Malthusian theorem. It is not as if there are no growth whatsoever. There are. But in terms of the population, in terms of the need for housing, in terms of the need for power, in terms of the need for education and the rest of them, how well has the economic, arithmetic progression matched the geometric progression of, the population and the needs of the country? That is the point that Akinwumi is trying to make. And let us recall too, please, because Peter Obi did say that same thing, made something that alluded to something, given instances of countries that were at par in those days. We're talking of Vietnam, you're talking of Indonesia. You're talking of Bangladesh. That he looked at indices, we are almost at par, even better. China, you understand? Yeah, we are. In fact, we had a better indices than China. But today, when you bring that same figure, compared with Nigeria, we are worse off. As a matter of fact, Nigeria has we are talking of the combined, number of people in poverty in all three countries, India, China. Nigeria has more people in poverty. That hasn't been refuted. The IMF backed that figure. So, there is a way I think that, handlers of federal government could defend some of these things. You understand? By and large, you now find that what the position taken by Muhammadu Buhari's administration was even more logical. At least he said that proper investment that should have been made in the past were not made. That is why Nigeria is suffering. That's why they are trying to rebase the economy. That's why they are trying to retinker the economy in such a way where it will become sustainable. That is a better argument than saying that we are better off when the indices says no. You understand? So these are some of the, I expect, Mr. Bayo Onanuga is a seasoned journalist, is publicist, he's been, he's done media all his life. You should understand that he's not talking to kindergartens. We are talking to adults. We are talking to people who, who can look at that same set of data and tell you that you are just, what you're saying doesn't really make sense. It doesn't inspire confidence. That's the point.
Okay, let me just ask you this. Coming off from the conversation where you're comparing, that Nigerians, the lifestyle of Nigerians in the 60s and then currently, I wanted for, public education for you to explain on what grounds can we say, if you look at the 1960s, look at a population, what we have now is explosive already. The population is grown, and then we have more infrastructure that we used to have in 1960. So how do we now measure the economic lifestyle of Nigerians currently and 1960?
Okay. Now, you see, development is based on certain parameters: education, health, and security, food security, infrastructure development. Now, you see, you look at the number of people at that time. What was our population? How many intakes that is in terms of ratio. How many for every 10 kids? How many get employed? How many get into school?
All right, Nicholas, the phone line is buzzing. Let's quickly take this call. 08. Let's take it.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning
to you. What's your name and where are you calling from?
How are you, Danielle?
Very well, thank you. Thank you.
Please go ahead.
It's on a very quick one. You see, people in government, they need to realize the fact that you don't have to start personalizing issues when issues are raised. And that is the mistake Mr. Bayo Odoluga was making. You see, it's a fact that we are worse off now than it was in the 60s. It is not basically because of Tinubu or who is in government at the moment. And that is why they always get it wrong. People in government tend to personalize every issue that are brought up. And these are issues that are facing the Nigerian people. It's the fact that we are worse off than we were in the 60s. The facts are there. It's nothing to argue about. What we need to do, you see, when we don't hold up to our problems, we will not have solutions to them. And that is why the government keep failing one after the other. Because they fail to realize the fact that we have a problem and how do we go about it. Except when they start doing that, that is when we now start having proper solutions to the problems we are facing as a nation. Good morning.
Thank you so much, Toyin, for your contribution.
That's the point. Like I was saying, now when you look at the number of people, the number of eligible students that should go into schools, what is the ratio that we take in primary, secondary, university, compared to what it was in the 60s. You discover that you have a higher ratio of people who are out of school. Currently, I'm not sure the figure is even accurate. In the last couple of years, we have about close to 20 million children out of school children. Yes. Out of school children. And it is increasing considering the insurgency and the rest of them that you have. You understand? That is what we are talking about. We never had it this bad. That's what we're saying. Then if you now talk of, all you just need to know, to get the fact of what is going on. All right. Okay.
Sorry to watch you again. Hello, Nick. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Daniel.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
This is Tony from Shao.
All right, Mr. Davis, go ahead, please.
Yes, I want to react to bioeconomic statement.
Mr. Davis, please try and connect back if you can. 0807 777 9927.
Please go ahead.
So, even in the urban areas, go to the urban areas, look at all these, what you call the new sites. What kind of road infrastructures do you have there? Just look at Ilorin. Just take a look at the suburbs in Ilorin. You see that houses are outstripping the infrastructure that should serve them. When was the last time you got tap water, for instance? In those 70s that we're talking about, at least I was born then, we used to get public water. In fact, there was nothing like pure water. This bagged water that you have that you call pure water now. There wasn't. There wasn't. We drank from tap waters in those days. Yeah.
Clean.
Yeah, we had tap water, and from this Kwara Water Corporation. Yeah. So you have it at some point. It was on daily basis, then 3 times weekly. In fact, you always have. In fact, power supply. If there is going to be a power outage, you are informed ahead. That was the kind of thing we used to have in those days.
Then how did we get here?
Yeah.
That is the point. Adeyemi has been trying to make. That we are worse off than we were in the 1960s. So how can somebody come, who is even far older than me, who even had a better, quality of life than I had, say that Nigerians are better off. How can you say that kind of a thing? I can tell you, even in the urban areas, nobody gets to drink, what was it?
Water.
Tap water.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking of real, cleaned up, sanitized water.
Nicholas, hold your thoughts a little bit. Good
Hello,
morning.
good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
It's Tony.
Yeah. All right, Tony, you're back.
Yes, Nicholas. You see, we that grew up from the 70s into the 80s and witnessing what we are witnessing now, we hold it as a responsibility to let the younger generation know that we had it good. Sincerely. And as long as people in government will fail to own up to the fact that something is fundamentally wrong with us, instead of personalizing issues, they need to face governance. These are issues we need to face. We need to know our problems, then we will know how to stop them. I was born in the country. I knew how it was in the learning. I didn't used to drink water from the tap like.
Exactly.
We are in the learning now. Do we have pipe-borne water? Let's be sincere with ourselves. Look at like you said, the newly the springing up of houses in the suburbs. What road networks do they have? Today, I'm not even thinking of the government providing them water anymore. You can dig a well in your compound, or you can sink a borehole. You are good to go. It's the failure of government. It is not about the present government, but successive governments have failed us. That is what we are saying. And if you are not ready to hold up to it, then you have no solutions to our problem.
All right.
In fact,
thank you, Nicholas. Before you go on, is it about the conversation? Is tilting towards owning up or looking for ways to better the life of Nigerians, improve the condition?
I think it's both. Owning up and looking for ways of bettering the life of people. Look, see, let us be more practical.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I grew up in Ilorin. I grew up in number 100 Adeta, Ilorin. You understand? And if you are in Ilorin and you are listening to me, you understand? Opposite the mosque that you have there used to be a tap opposite that place, where everybody goes to fetch water. Now, there is a power grid very adjacent to that place. There used to be a big tank there. Before the tap came, Water Corporation used to put water there every three days or so, where we go to fetch water. I can tell you where they call the place Ilemojesin, where you have tap. I can go and locate the place. Ilemodele, where you have water, where you have a tap water, I can locate the place right now. You understand? So these are things I saw, in a lorry here. And I'm talking of, this is supposed to be a local place, and water could reach them. When those pipes were laid, huge pipes were laid across number 100, our house, a story building, I was there. I saw it. When that road was built by George Ine, I was there. I saw it. Somebody cannot just wake up one day and start telling us we are better off. No, you should tell that to maybe kindergartens. Definitely not me.
All right. 0807 777 That's the number to call to join the conversation this morning. Let's take this call.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Danny.
It's Danielle. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Please go ahead.
Yes. You see, what I was saying is that Nigeria is expanding more than 1960. But are we developing? That is what President was saying. Mr. Bayo Onanuga should not start defending his principle all the time. I think Mr. Bayo should stop blaming Tinubu. He was saying that in 1960, and since 1960, how many presidents have we have? How many presidents have we have? You see, I think the onus is on the president to call this man to order. That when they tell me that something is wrong, then he should not believe that what I have to run is speaking for me. The president himself should come out and let him know that look, Mr. Onanuga, when people say something, always listen. Always try to say what can we do to make this work. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Lastly on that conversation, I need to ask you, so that the younger generation or younger Nigerians can have a good understanding of what is, and what to expect. Now, can you point out a few things that we can sit to read and say, okay, Nigerians are better off right now than, in 1960. Or we don't have anything at all to say, okay, Nigerians are better off right now.
That would not be, it would not be fair to say that certain things are not better off. Telephony, for instance, it used to be a very big luxury. But with less than 10,000 naira, you could have a phone that you can make communications with. So in that instance, it reduces the man hour you spend on the road. Telecommunication that you can, you can do your postal, whatever, you can move things, you can send information and things like that. That has improved a great deal. You understand? And then in terms of access to schools, the quality is a bit suspect. You understand? You have more schools now. You understand? Where you can, you don't have to trek a long distance to go to school. Before a few meters, there is always a school that is available. Then of course you have, should I say, proliferation of hospitals, though even most of them are largely substandard. All those things are there. But what we are saying is that if we move, let us move properly, not move in a haphazard manner, in such a way that it further, accentuates the underdevelopment rather than showing that we are really moving up. So if, for instance, we don't have all these tap waters strategically located, if we are going to phase that out, let us have water piped into our homes. That is the proper development we are talking about. So if we are talking of, you have more people who need houses, let us have houses that are planned in planned areas that development can reach so easily. Not that people just go, come upon a piece of land and start building houses, waiting for roads to come and meet them there. So that is what we are talking about. So you see, everything has to be planned. Countries who develop plan their development. That has always been our problem. Now, the other time, was it a year ago that the governor of Kwara State said it's going to be an Ilorin master plan? When in that statement, he said that the last time a plan was made for Kwara was how many years ago? Almost close to 30 years ago. You don't develop that way. It has to be deliberate. So we are talking of, every 10 years, you review your planning structure, because there will be new trends that you have to bring in. And that has always been the problem. So the development has been haphazard. So at the end of the day, you have more population than the amenities that can serve them.
That can serve the people.
Yeah.
All right. 0807 777 9927. Let's move on to another story.
All right. This one is from the presidential candidate for the Labour Party, Peter Obi, where he was condemning the arrest of a social media sensation, very dark man, and then the NAN's leader, the factional president Atiku Issa, describing the actions as oppressive and dangerous for Nigeria's democracy. He was criticizing the manner of arrest, likening them to abductions, the way that they were arrested, and was warning that such displays of force could undermine public trust in lawful authority and also silencing, young voices.
Absolutely, and I absolutely agree with him. Because you see, the point we are making is, the point I think Peter Obi is trying to make is that, you see, there is nothing wrong with arresting a person that misbehaves. You don't reward people for bad behavior. But there are proper manners of doing things like this. And you see, at the end of the day, it's about optics. What kind of optics are you saying? What are you showing people? You see, plucking a full-grown man off the street just like that, it's like you are trying to instill fear. You understand? And Very Dark Man is not an ordinary person. He's a social media activist. You understand? The moment you see, the first perception is that because he's so outspoken, that is the first thing that people will think. You understand? It's because he's outspoken that you picked him up. You understand? You see, when you want to do things like that, there are manners in which you can do it. Say, for instance, you invite him. He has failed to show up. Then you go for him. Look at the case of Achimogu. He's been there all over. You saw him declared wanted. So when they picked him off, nobody said anything because he was invited properly. You understand? So you cannot have a situation where things like this just happen and you just think that everybody should be comfortable. We can't be comfortable. No, we can't be comfortable. Because you see, it's VDM today. It could be anybody. It could even be me. I can just walk out of this place and they pluck me because I've said certain things that offend some people. And even the danger to things like that is that abductors could use that same system. You understand? They could use that system and pick up somebody.
Now
You
that's
know,
the security
exactly.
is very
People
porous.
then assume that maybe the one security agency, but before you know what's happening, that person is either far gone, or there is no way of rescuing that person, or he's even dead. You know, so there are certain things that I think they should be more responsible in doing things. You know, in doing things so that Nigerians can have confidence in our security system. You know.
All right.
All right. Just before we conclude the headline news, the analysis this morning, let's touch on another story real quick. Let's say because of time. This time, former Minister of Education, Obieze Kwesili, is denying allegations that she was paid to support Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's sexual harassment claims against Senate President Godswill Akpabio, and this is coming, from a UK-based activist by the name Sandra Duru, who alleged that Akpoti-Uduaghan fabricated the claims and involved Ezekwesili for credibility. Now, in quick response, the former Minister of Education, Obi Ezekwesili, responded by saying no amount of money can buy a conscience.
Well,
we have different twists to this
story.
It's not a twist. It should be happening. You expect things like that? You see, look, if it was somebody else, I'll say yes, maybe. But Ezekwesili is somebody that we all know he's been there for a very long time. You know, we are talking of a former vice president of the World Bank. You understand? Even if she's going to do that, she's going to be very careful.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? She understands that you can trace finances very well.
Mm-hmm.
So she understands the terrain very well. So now this coming up at this time, when Natasha Akpoti is making an allegation, all these are just meant to deaden the credibility of the claim she made against the Senate president. It's as simple as that.
Hold on. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's your name and where you calling from?
Good morning, Nicholas.
Good morning.
All right, please go ahead.
First of all, I want to say congratulations to Kwara United for reaching the semi-finals of the FA Cup. I hope they go out and they win it.
All right.
Nicholas,
yeah.
The truth is that the moment people realize that Adedayo is paid to defend the presidency, they would stop wasting their time on whatever he said and what he did not say. If the presidency comes out tomorrow and says that Dayo, for example, in the studio, is a terrible presenter, his name is a bad OAP, he should be fired. And all of us who have listened to Dayo know that Dayo is a very good OAP. I don't know, I'll come out tomorrow and tell you that it is true, that the presidency is right. He would always stay to defend him. That's his job. That's what he, even if they say white is black, he will say that yes, white is black. And what I'm going to say is this. Nicholas, please, you know me, I like you, but you come in to say that that now education has improved, that we have schools, you don't have to trek a long distance to access education and government and education facilities. And I ask you, what about the quality? The quality is not a bit suspect. It is very, very suspect. It's a huge suspect because you and I know that the quality of education that we have now is nowhere close to what we had before. So would you prefer your child trek a long distance and get good education, or trek a shorter distance and get shabby kind of education? If you want to talk about that telecommunication has improved, telecommunication is a private sector. Government has little or zero investment in it. So nothing has, there is absolutely nothing that has to do with social amenities that has gotten better between 58, 70 years ago and right now. Everything is going, nothing has gotten better. Now, switching to your second story, the story about, my goodness, help me out here now. The story about...
VDM?
Okay.
Yeah, VDM. Nicholas said something about that kidnappers could use this method. Kidnappers could not. Kidnappers are already using this method. You see it on the news every day. They show up in people's houses wearing the EFCC red vest and kidnap people. You see people wear police uniform and go and kidnap people. They are already using this method because our security agencies have refused to learn how to do their job. They have zero interest in what we call someone. They don't really summon somebody. They'll show up in your house, I want to pick you up, and you must abandon whatever you are doing, and you follow them. We have security agencies who don't know the ethics of the profession that they are doing. And until we fix that particular mess, this whole thing will continue happening. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Zikora. Thank you very much.
Zikora. Yeah. You know, but I did say that yes, you have more school proliferation. I used the word proliferation. You understand? And I did say that the standard is suspect. You understand? But in terms of more schools, yes, but the quality is suspect. Like I pointed that out.
Same with hospitals.
Yeah, same with hospitals. Then you see, I understand that yes, our man must defend his principle. But you see, in public relations, you understand, you don't go telling lies. No good. That is, if you've attended any class in public, at least I did 1 or 2 courses in public relations. So you see, that is bad PR job. And when that happens, you call it out. That is as simple as that. You see, a good PR is not about telling lies. It's not about telling things that what is obvious, denying what is obvious. No. So what we are saying is that Bayo Nanuga is not helping the presidency by, spinning that kind of narrative that can be debunked so easily.
All right.
We see the phone lines buzzing, but we're unable to take any more calls because of time. But we'll continue the conversation tomorrow, most definitely, from 8 o'clock to 8:30 right here, okay? Thank you so much for, analyzing with us and sharing from your wealth of knowledge. The views expressed is not in any way the position of Flow FM 92.7, but as expressed by the analyst Nicholas Waranoye. I am Danielle Shitta-Bey.
And I am Adeyemi. Thank you for joining us. Have a good morning. Wow.
Here to light up the city. 92 points.
Music, entertainment, and all the gist that you need.
And if it's trending, you already know we're talking about it.
Stay locked in, Lauren. It's Flow FM, baby.
The night's young, the vibes are right, and we are flowing past midnight. You ready to chill? Let's go.
Listen anytime, anywhere. Stream us live, call us, send us a WhatsApp message. We're just a tap away. Flow FM 92.7, your Go with the Flow radio station.